listener. Welcome to the Deep Share Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Rouse, and for the last couple of decades, I've slowly been opening my eyes to a very different world than the one I grew up hearing about. And the more conversations I have with interesting people, the more mystifying this world becomes. So without further ado, let's get deep.
We've got science to celebrate! Demons list now! After what, baby? Come on!
There is rebellion in the wind. It will be crushed.
Everything I've said is true. It's real.
Dinosaur fossils? God put those here to test our faith.
A damn lie. I saw them with my own eye.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
We did illusions, man. None of it is true.
I'm not insane.
This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion.
So welcome back to the Deep Share, everybody. And I have with me tonight, Frantic Missy. Missy, how you doing?
I am exhausted to the point where I'm going to drink to keep going. Like an
There
American.
you go.
Like an American, I can't fail.
There you go. That's the right attitude to have. So what's been going on? What you been looking into?
Do you really want to know? Because I've got notebooks upon notebooks. This is my new favorite possession. I'll show you guys while I'm smoking to be cool.
What is this? Oh, the creature from Jekyll Island.
I ran out of highlighters, so I had to ask Cowboy Jeff Bezos and his penis rocket ship to send me some more.
Ah, there you go. It's pretty
Nothing's
cool.
worse than begging a man you can't stand to help you
Yeah.
figure out the banks.
Yeah, I actually heard you. I can't remember what podcast it was on, but I remember you talking about how
Probably Charlie
organized you are.
Robinson.
Could have been Charlie's, could have been Big Dumb Podcast, but like you guys were
those are my
talking.
boys.
About, those guys are awesome. Great show.
I just went to Dallas with them to go see
Oh,
the
really?
Temple. Yeah, we went to go see the Temple Hat show.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I used to do research for Sam for the Run and Runs.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, I heard you talking about how organized your operation is when it comes to like your notes and all your references and everything, how you have like an index of everything that you're researching.
I'm
Let's
going to give
talk about
everyone
that.
a super secret, awesome sleuthing tip when it comes to researching stuff. This is a composition notebook. It costs about 99 cents from the dollar store, plus 5 cents for tax, because, you know, Uncle Sam's an asshole. But this is cheap. Here's what you do. You take the book and you number all your pages. And at the beginning of the notebook, you write index. And on the index, you number the pages for the index. And every time you write something in the notebook, you put it down before you close it. You write down what you wrote on that page. It could be a note, it could be a scribble, it could be cancel your subscription list like mine. Trust me, I haven't accomplished any of that yet. Library books for my kid, whatever. Morning show ideas for the morning show I've been doing from 6 to 10. It's going to kill me. It might have already. And the first pages are noted index, see?
Mm-hmm.
And you just number all the pages in the notebook. And then the next thing you know, you have a way to find all of your crap.
That's good, because it's all just loose in here for me. So I probably should start writing things
will
down.
Save your life. This is so stupid easy that anyone can do it. It's called usually it's called bullet journaling. And I'm like, dude, that's just a way for them to sell garbage to you. Just get a composition notebook while you're while you're watching, you know, TV or listening to a podcast or whatever. You just go through and you put a number on every page and then you write the index at the beginning and go for it. You'll never lose any of your crap again. It's fantastic.
That sounds like a solid plan, because I'm always trying to reference something that I can't remember. I'm going to do it 4 times tonight, you know?
If you really want to get like real with it, you can go through and there's always extra room on the last page for the page number index. And I cut it in half and then I use that for notes. For example, like I'll pink highlight anything that has to involve, I don't know, celebrities hanging themselves. Right? And then you got all the stuff that involves, I don't know, the local, you know, as my friend Casey calls it, the lollipops, you know, the stabbing, whatever it is, that goes in yellow. And then you can go through your notebook and anytime you need to find something quickly, It's right in front of you. All your
That's
facts are
brilliant.
right there.
That's great.
It's
Everybody,
super
listen
easy.
up.
Any dummy can do that.
Yeah, seriously. Well, if you're
Sorry,
not
y'all. My dog is
lazy,
just trying to help.
there's Yoshi.
Go get Yoshi.
Awesome.
He's going. He doesn't bark.
Everybody's got a mascot.
just
Or a
goes,
mask,
"Bark, bark,
not
bark."
like you said
Mask
before.
holes.
So yeah, what have you been digging into lately that's noteworthy?
Well, I've been looking into C.S. Lewis.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Now you've got
I
my
grew up-
attention.
I went to a private Christian school, right? So of
Mm.
course, like it was in like you had to read the line that went to the wardrobe, which means just watch the movie and bought
Mhm.
the cliff notes, right? And highlighted that same crap, But at the end of the day, like I was looking into it, and C.S. Lewis, did you know that he lived with a woman starting when he was 19, with a woman that was 33 years his senior, 33 years his senior.
No.
And and during World War II, he was teaching at, I think it was Oxford at the time. And he had, how they were training kids, like putting them on trains, rabbit ears, going out of London to get them away from the city during the Blitz, during the London
Mhm.
Blitz. Well, the person that he connected with the most that came to stay with him, I'm not going to say her name because I don't have it written in front of me, but she ended up getting married to, and he ended up paying for her college, everything. He connected with her. Her whole life, they were like BFFs, buddies, right? She ended up married to Sigmund Freud's grandson, Clement Freud. Clement Freud lived 2 blocks away from where Madeleine McCann disappeared. Okay.
Whoa.
And he went to trial, didn't live, died of natural causes in England, but he was living in Portugal at the time Madeleine McCann disappeared. He was a prolific pedophile on like the level of like Jimmy Savile, right?
Oh, jeez.
Never went to trial, never lived to face his consequences. Probably had something to do with Madeleine McCann's disappearance, other than the Podesta brothers, right? And his
Mhm.
wife was the chick who stayed with C.S. Lewis during World War II.
Weird.
There's no coincidences.
No.
It just
Well,
goes
it
deeper
never
and deeper
is.
and deeper. Yeah. I'm running out of
Just-
highlighters, man.
It's just kind of digging through and finding like looking at that and then looking around it and then further in time and kind of look, outward and outward and outward until we figure out like what part of the picture does this represent in the larger puzzle, right? I
Well, you have
mean,
to remember that time isn't real. It's a
Well,
man-made
sure.
construct to organize things, like this dumb notebook in my
Mhm.
highlighters. It is a man-made construct to organize
Absolutely.
something that is too big for our brains to all absorb at once.
that's a good way to
Time
put it.
isn't
I mean,
real.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, of course.
There's a bunch of papers on it that have come out.
Oh yeah. I totally love that stuff. The quantum physics and everything. And
Mhm.
just, yeah, time is a human construct just as much as, who knows, maybe even everything that makes up this space,
Well, you have
I don't know.
You have to think about it like this, okay? What is time actually good for? Prior to the invention of the light bulb, right? Do you know how people organize their day? Well, because probably in case you don't know, I'm just going to interrupt. But at 5 to 4:35 o'clock in the morning, right? People would wake up. They'd feed their chickens. They would go about their morning business. Breakfast, the bacon and egg shit. That is a marketing campaign.
Yes.
That's not a
yes.
thing. They would eat crap in a bowl, but that wasn't even until like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So they get up, they take care of the chickens, whatever, right? Because that's when daylight started to come up and they could actually see their hand in front of their face. They would go about their business, right? Because we were mostly a rural society. The city is a relatively new thing other than Rome. And
Right.
maybe Carthage, but we saw that worked out for them.
Mhm.
So people would go about their day, right? They would come home at about 11 o'clock, and they still do this in Europe. It's called a siesta. But they go home, they eat lunch, they take a nap, and then they go back out, finish working for the day until it got dark. And when it turned dark, they went home, they did not eat dinner, they went straight to sleep. They got up at like 11 o'clock at night. And that's when they would eat dinner. Because dinner would
Weird.
finally be ready. Well, you got to remember, they were eating stuff that had to boil for like,
Right. Yeah. From
like,
a
get up at,
distance,
like,
it's like the
11,
behavior of
11:30.
a stoner.
Yeah,
just
pretty
waking
much.
up randomly in the night and eating.
I don't smoke weed, but that's my life, man. Like I'm working on it. I got this morning show. It's gonna kill me. It may have already killed me. But
Not yet. You got fight in you left.
I'm not a morning person.
Neither am I, but I'm doing it. We're both doing it, even though we're not morning people.
And doing it well.
There you go. Exactly.
But at 11:30 at night, that's when people would have they finally have dinner as a family. Usually that was the head of the table, right? The person who's in charge of whatever like home they were living in, right? He would sit down and everyone would wait for him to sit, and then they'd all sit and they wait for him to take a bite, and then they'd all eat. And when he was done eating, they'd all quit eating. Didn't matter if they were finished eating or not. The queen does that still. When the queen puts down her fork, everyone else has to stop eating, even if you're not finished.
Oh, that's
Do you know that?
bullshit. That's not fair at all. I can't even, like, what if she, man, what a waste of food.
She is German.
That's true.
I don't know what you expected. They're not kind. They don't have kind words. They're not a kind group of people.
Well, I know that you have a lot of stuff dug up about the royal family. I'd be glad to go into that stuff if you want. I mean, wherever you want to take this, let my podcast be your platform. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to go into, I'm interested. So, I mean, what do you want to talk about?
I've been digging deep into James Francis Alexander. He is a guy that he was 32 years old. He had, I think it was crapped out of the notebooks inside. So my back in Dallas, the last time I hung out with the guys from the podcast in Texas. What is it? The Big Dumb
podcast.
It's still in my suitcase. I haven't looked in that book since. But James Francis Alexander is 32 years old, right? He wrote a book. I think it was 2000. You know what? Screw that. Hang on one second.
Sure, go ahead.
We pause.
We'll pause
for station identification. Hang on one second.
No problem.
Boom, found it. James Francis Alexander, 31 years old, multiple bullet wounds, more than 20 bullets were found in his body. And in 2014, he wrote a book called The Real Prince Harry, The Truth Behind the Royal Lies. Now, they printed 50,000 copies. It flew off the shelves. Like, you would think people were buying it up, maybe in blocks.
Mm.
He had a really hard time getting it reprinted. A lot of pressure came from the royal family in order for him not to reprint that book. Because again, it was called The Truth Behind the Royal Family. Sorry, The Real Prince Harry, The Truth Behind the Royal Lies.
Okay.
He claimed to be the real Prince Harry. And that when he was little, about 8, 9 years old, he kept telling people about how they killed his mother and how they made them switch places. Now, when you look at the royal family, does Prince Harry look like he's one of them? I
mean, I've heard this before, but I will.
Look how busted ugly Prince Harry turned out to be. Look at all those inbred princes and princesses.
I agree. I do agree, but I mean, personally, maybe I'm just forcing it subconsciously, but I do see him and his brother as siblings, like in the face. I see it. I do see it. I'm not trying to discredit anything.
Well, maybe they're cousins.
That could be. See, now we're talking. That could be something. There's a lot of that going around. I mean, we might as well refer to these people as the Lannisters.
Let me ask you a question. You ever seen, there was a dating show. I think it came out in 2006 called The Real Prince Harry.
No.
Yes. Where it was a dating show where they took a bunch of women and they tried to trick them into thinking they were dating. Obviously, they're the brightest crayons in the box, but they tried to trick, I know, right? They tried to trick them into thinking that they were dating on a dating show with Prince Harry.
Wow.
Now, do you think the media does what everyone calls predictive programming? Do they tell you what they're going to do before they do it?
Obviously.
The Real Prince Harry dating show.
Interesting.
Guess who won?
Oh.
Well, one
was her
woman
name Megan?
you would not expect anyone in the world. Dude, my grandmother was put up for adoption in 1929 to pass. Okay, I'm the white sheep of the family. I'm the only I'm the only one in the whole family. My mama and her sisters are dark as night. My Aunt niece used to get kicked out the pool because they'd be like, every time they got a new life, they'd be like, no, she's white. And my Aunt niece was like, supposedly, right? For real, that's the South, you know, that's how it was. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. That's how it was here. But I can say, the royal family, to marry a half-Black woman, then to give up your title, not just for you, but for your offspring. When you were raised from being a very young child, watching them kill your mother for not complying, okay? And then for you to go, look, I'm going to step back. Even though my whole life I was taught this is my duty. My mother gave her life for this duty. It's my duty. For you to walk away and give up that title, ask any British person, would you give up your title? They were like, hell no, that makes no sense. Unless he's not the real Prince Harry. He went to Afghanistan against the Queen's wishes. They won't even finish eating dinner.
Yeah.
And he married a half-Black woman, went to Afghanistan against her wishes, gave up his title, moved to Canada and then America, right? And they still don't have anything going on financially. I think she like voiced a cartoon or something, and their children don't have the titles. And here's the kicker. The daughter that was recently born to Meghan Markle, right? They named her Diana, but they call her, guess what they call her? Elizabeth. That's the Queen's.
Whoa. Weird. Trying to
And
piece
this
this
guy
together for
was
myself.
murdered in an Irish hotel, and no one seems to know about it. He claims he's the real Prince Harry, and that they switched places. And it wouldn't make sense. It would be a tabloid, like garbage title, like the Weird World Weekly News, right? The
Oh,
right?
definitely.
It would be that.
Right. It would be
It would
next
be
to
that.
three-headed aliens and all that.
Except that he gave up that title.
So, to me, as I've seen the Prince and Meghan, how should I put this, flaunt their newfound rebellion all over national television and get interviewed by
the media saying that's what happened?
Well, I could say that, you know, you watching Meghan Markle sit down with friggin' John of God's good friend Oprah for this heartfelt interview about how
Florida tunnels, Oprah.
Well,
that's my personal favorite. Florida tunnels, Oprah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like watching Meghan Markle sit down and have that conversation about abuse from the royals and all that. It's all theatrical to me. And Oprah being who she is, who we all think and know all that.
The only thing worse is Ellen.
Her,
at least Oprah
exactly.
At least Oprah won't whip you with a car antenna because you're a freaking intern. Like Ellen.
No, but she was friends with John of God, who was probably one of the worst human beings to ever grace this earth.
Her studio is called Harpo. That's Oprah backwards.
Yeah. And you know how they love to invert everything.
And she gave up a child when she was like, what? I think it was 12 or 14 or something. She was molested. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I'm saying is,
no, of course
that
not.
It's a gateway to find people that can leave their body temporarily. Right? What do they say when you get molested? What do they say? What's the
Not only that.
I was looking down on myself.
Right.
It was like it wasn't even happening to me.
Well, I mean, perturbed consciousness in general. I mean, it's on a completely different scale and on a different page, but you can compare that to all sorts of other outer body or ethereal experiences. It's all that it's accessing that same field from many different perspectives. It's
the same thing happens with extreme trauma.
Right.
When you get like a really bad car accident, right? What happens?
Near-death experience, right?
I don't even remember how I got in that car accident.
That's the
it was like
maximum.
I left my body. I saw the doctors. I had a near-death experience. It was like I was watching the doctors work
right
from above. Like I was floating in the corner of the room.
Exactly. It's all accessing this same thing. You know what I mean?
So when Britney Spears tries to throw an elevator in my brain, Mitch Hedberg is in her mind. Know. When Britney Spears is trying to throw an umbrella through a car window, right, and then she shaves her head and goes off the deep end, or when Beyonce glitches out in a live interview and it's like,
yeah, that was creepy.
And she got accused of being a witch. Not once, but twice. She got sued in court for being a witch. That's a thing.
What? How do you sue someone for being a witch?
They sued, two people sued Beyonce for being a witch and casting spells on them.
Holy shit.
Do you think those people really went into court being like, I'm gonna win this one? My sharp suit lawyer said it's gonna work out. No, they didn't do it to win the case. They did it to bring attention to there's something up with that.
That's
I had a
so
friend
crazy.
Of mine did some gaff, like I think it was gaffing work for them or something.
Mhm.
I can't remember what he said it was. And I do not want to disclose his name, but he's someone that I actually trust. And he said he went to work at a party at their house and they had a whole bunch of pictures of Baphomet in their powder room.
Interesting.
But this means nothing, right?
Well, the thing is I don't know. I have differing views of Baphomet, though, unfortunately, because what the Catholic Church has handed down and the politicians and all of our laws for so long have handed down is
like
that
breakfast.
That is an evil symbol. But meanwhile,
it's a marketing campaign.
The oldest tradition, but think about it, the oldest traditions, that's a symbol for balance. It has all the earthly elements in it. And it's like the Catholic Church especially loves to tell us that all these older, more connected to nature traditions are evil. And that's
Except
really
that those
interesting.
are all the people they burned. Well, they burned all the books and burned all the bitches at the stake. So thanks to King James and his book Demonology, a lot of that old art, the old ways of doing things. At the same time, doctors are believing in miasma and collecting bodies with body snatchers, right? The women that were in charge of keeping the healing arts with, herbs and natural remedies, for example, the wormwood plant, it can get you messed up, but it also was where we originated aspirin. No, thank you, bear. True.
Interesting.
They killed all those people off, and guess who did it? It was King James. King James started the witch hunts when he wrote his book Demonology.
Right.
The same guy wrote the Bible with no help from Willie Shakes, supposedly.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on back then. There's a lot of weird stuff about the King James version. Yeah, basically everybody surrounding that book was murdered and stuff like that. It's pretty dark.
They censored the knowledge.
Just as it had been done many times before that, like in the 4th century with Constantine as well.
Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, exactly.
Carthage.
It's always destroyed.
Not Timbuktu. What is it called? The Berber kingdom in the middle of Africa that had all the awesome libraries.
I know what you're talking about too. I can't remember. I can't think of the name.
During the Song Empire, the guy that was in charge of everything went and just burned all the books, and he put a sword in the middle of the village and said, "Hey, if you want this sword, you'll hang out. By the way, throw your books in that pile." The Nazis burned books.
Right. Yeah.
Censorship.
Or let's look at it like this. At one point in history, these people that loved to burn books were called Nazis.
Now we call them Antifa.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm starting to look at it from I'm trying to take a broader brushstroke here. And sure, yes, they were literally called Nazis. I get that. I'm not arguing that. But at the same time, the attributes of the Nazis, the tactics, the traditions, the
real society crap,
the personality of the Nazis, the Himmlers, all of it is echoed throughout time. So you can call them Nazis or you can call them Antifa, right? Or you can call them many different things. It's like totalitarianism itself or authoritarianism. They go hand in hand. It's like a virus that sweeps through humanity.
I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore.
No. Oh yeah, the word virus. Let's say it backwards. Lollipop. Lollipop.
Where you get stabbed in the front. That's what my friend Casey Jones, who's the Kuback Report, she calls it lollipop.
Okay. Perfect.
So she doesn't get, purged again from YouTube. She lost all of her stuff. She's on a second thing on that.
Yeah, lots of censorship going on, of course. And that's always a weird thing to me, because like there's plenty of avenues for us to get our shit out there. So it's almost like, the predictive programming stuff, we're almost in some ways accidentally providing them with their own predictive programming methods. You know what I mean? Because we're exposing what they want exposed. You know what I mean?
In order to have free will, right, you have to have all the information. They use predictive programming because they're like, well, you didn't stop it, so that's on you.
Exactly.
It's their way of negating responsibility for the horrible things that they do.
Yeah.
Well, you knew about it. We told you about rabbit ears. We told you about it. So that's your problem, not ours. Free will.
Right. The idea that
loopholes.
We didn't understand it, so it just was right
we
in front
didn't
of us the
stop
whole time. Well, sure, but a lot of time they use a lot of symbolism, and
that's why though.
Right, but a lot of the normal people out there don't get any of that shit. They don't notice it, or they think it's ridiculous when we connect it to a million other things. But I know we know better, but how do we get that across to our more common friends and family members?
What we're doing right now, number one.
Yes.
Number two, you ever like driven down the highway and you see one of those billboards that says, save yourself now. Jesus, Jesus is coming back. I think the one book that doesn't belong in the Bible is the book of Revelation, because the same God that gave his only son, right, to save us all, wouldn't be like, hey, except for you guy over there in the corner that wasn't paying attention. Like,
sure.
It's not like, Susan came to church in her red dress last weekend. God's like, yep, she's off the list. That bitch is done. Yeah. Susan, you better recommit your life to God. You ever see those billboards though that are like, save yourself now?
Oh, of course.
You ever see anybody pulled over after those billboards? Not at the porn store on the highway, but the sign itself, right? Where they're like, oh my gosh, I never believed in God, but I saw that billboard.
Right.
That billboard's not put up for you. It's put up for them. Because they feel like they need to do something. The best way to bring someone around to your point of thinking is to not back them into a corner at all. Because if you get backed into a corner, your first response is to want to fight your way out, right? The best way to get someone to believe you or listen to your side of thinking, it's not to tell them what to do or think. It's to ask them questions that make them think. In law, they call it the Socratic method. You ask questions to bring someone around. You don't tell the witness what to say. You get the witness to say what you want them to say. And then they go, oh my God. There's so many channels on YouTube just devoted to there's this one guy called the DUI lawyer guy. And
I think I've seen that guy.
He puts cops on the stand and all he does is ask them questions. And guess what they do? They sit there on the stand and go, oh my God. Like you can see it on their face. You can't tell someone what to do, but you can ask them questions that make them think. And you have to do it in a way that is so sneaky and underhanded. You got to be a Southern mama about that. You got to jellyfish that way in, where 5 minutes later, they're like, just happened. I think that was me. Was that me? Why do I feel so uncomfortable right now?
Yeah, I keep saying to people, it's like we need to have our own predictive programming for our friends and family. You cannot give truth to those who don't seek it. Sam Tripoli taught me that. He said, the number one rule, we have something called the rules of the Ronin. And the first one is you cannot give truth to those who don't seek it. Right. That's impossible.
Patience is a virtue. When you try to push stuff on other people, it's not about them anymore. Now it's about you, like that billboard.
Right. Exactly.
You have to love someone enough to wait for them to come around. And they will. They all do.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many friends that have moved politically in the last couple years.
Well, that's great.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. Reading a book
that's another trap.
It's all rigged.
Politics is all a trap. It's all been rigged from the very beginning. You know, I
two-party
mean,
system.
1870 and 1871, 1870.
I'm from Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah,
I know
you know this
exactly how it
history.
works.
Mm-hmm. You know, you're living near a sovereign nation. How crazy is that? Pretty wild. DC became its own country, and then in 71, it wrote its own constitution. And so it's like, you look into those aspects of it, that's one pretty crazy thing, because then you look into who was connected to, and again, we go right back to the royals and the city of London.
And they're not even British. The British people, the
No,
number one thing that they're like, I'm British. Well, when you ask a British person, what defines you? Like, what is the most British thing about you? Like, what do you think is the most, what's the proudest thing you have about being British? And they go, well, the royal family. And I'm like, they're Germans, you dum-dums. It's Saxe Coburg Gotha. Victoria, German, married to a German man. George, 1, 2, 3, 4, German, right? The Hanoverians, German. Guess who Queen Elizabeth married? Her cousin, who was marching in Nazi parades with his sister. Actually, at his sister's funeral. I'm sorry, my bad. His sister died. Whatever. I feel so sorry for them. Tiniest violin in the world for the royal family. Yeah. So it's German. And the weirdest thing about it all isn't even that. It's the fact that you got this thing called the Commonwealth. Okay. That's 16 countries. You ready? Canada, Jamaica, Grenada, Barbados, Australia, the Bahamas, Papua, New Zealand, New Guinea, Belize, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, the Solomon Islands, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbuda, Antigua, and Tuvalu. They're what you call commonwealths. You know what that means? They get locked down first. That's where people in Australia can't leave their damn house. Right. I can't believe people made out of prison colony people are like, yeah, this is good. We're cool with it.
Well, they're rioting now.
My crazy cousin went in a riot. What is it, Paris? Like, yeah. Like that. These are prison colony people. That's why, like, Georgia is so nuts. It's because it's all people that descend from prison colonies and debtors' prisons. And like, it's absolutely nuts. Like these. You think Americans are hardcore? Australians are hardcore. You think that's a night? This is a night. Those people. Okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
But there's only a handful of people that are like, we're not doing it. If they all stood up, it wouldn't happen. They got helicopters flying over people going, get back in your house.
Really? Holy shit.
Really.
I haven't seen the helicopter footage yet. I'm going to have to look into that. My God.
And Melbourne.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Like, it sucks that it doesn't surprise me.
But like,
the thing is there's a percentage of us. There's a percentage of us that grew up seeing the predictive programming and then started seeing it for what it was. And now none of this is surprising. It's really unfortunate and it's downtrodden, but it's not surprising to most of us. Every new step that they go, it's kind of playing out.
You're missing the key point.
What?
When you're fighting, let's say a fist fight. Stop it, Yoshi. Sorry, my dog. He's like literally crying up my ass. He's like, what about me? Talk to me. I'm like, go away. It's a chihuahua. He might be part squirrel. I don't. Stop it.
Probably.
I might yell for a second, but it's not at y'all. It's for him to get in his bed. Get in your bed. Get in your bed. Get in your bed. Get in that bed.
Yeah, Yoshi. Do it.
He likes the royal family, obviously. What was I saying? Oh, the thing is like, let me ask you a question. When you fight someone, right? Do you bring out your big guns or do you say, like, let's just say it's a video game, right? Do you bring out your big guns right away or do you save your big guns for the bad enemies, right?
Right.
The worst, you're like, okay, wait. When I play Zelda, right? I play Breath of the Wild. I love it on Switch. It's one of my favorite games ever. Lost hours of my life. It calms me down though, because it keeps me look at the freaking news or television, which makes me a crazy person. So like, I love it. I'm like, I'll fight the bad guys. I'll win every time. And I get to fight the bad guy over and over and over again. And I have to keep on my awesome swords. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you bring out your stronger weapons, right? For your hardcore enemies.
Absolutely.
The harder these people like fight, the more I'm like,
Oh yeah, we're winning. Oh, absolutely.
We're
Yeah.
winning.
They're tagging like, so if you
It doesn't
see-
matter what they do. It's
when
like
you see
arguing with a toddler. We're
when we
winning.
yeah, exactly. When we see conspiracy theories pop up in the news, that is my first thing. It's like, okay, well, yeah,
I fight so hard.
it's like they're exposing their plan, but like, what part of their plan includes all of us completely understanding and learn? Like, I know that I've heard the theory that, oh, it's that we're all going to realize it too late, and that's the whole point of the initiation process, the whole killing of the king ritual, that the
These are
revelation of
people that believe in
method.
revelation.
That's what I'm saying.
They think the world's going to end.
Oh, these aren't people like that. No. I'm not
The
talking
world's
about
already
that.
ended.
Well, figuratively
The
speaking.
world we knew,
perhaps.
I grew up with the biggest thing in my house was when the phone rang and we all fist fight each other to get to that phone. So who is it? Who is it? Maybe we won the lottery. Maybe it's Aunt Bessie. Maybe it's a telemarketer. I need to sell them my umbrella, sales. Once a month umbrellas. That's what I like to do to scam callers. I like to try to sell them back something equally dumb and useless, just as hard. I call it the Umbrella of the Month Club.
Mm-hmm. There
I'm
you
like,
go.
I'm so glad you called. Let me tell you about a great opportunity you just walked into. Right? But I mean, like when I was a kid, like, that was the big deal. Everything, the social media stuff, everyone wants to talk about how toxic social media is. What
Right.
they're missing is how helpful social media is, because when you talk about something you talk about, how alone do you feel? Like, I can't tell you how many people I know that are married to, dating, getting divorced from someone who they're like, I'm tired of hearing about your conspiracy theories. Can we just go to bed? Can we just watch the Goonies for real? Like,
Right.
there's so much of that. But at the end of the day, when you have social media, it's the only way we can actually connect with each other
Right.
without
Oh, of
the
course.
shame that comes with, grocery store lines. Don't get me wrong, they're fun. But they can get weird.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I
The
understand.
social media stuff, it's off. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
It's a shit show from the get-go.
For what they're using it for. So that's the thing. It's always something that
What are we using it for? Why are you focused on them? Let's focus on us, what we're doing.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. Like, it's only negative in the way that what they're using it for. I mean, the way we can use it is a tool in our direction, so that's what I'm saying. Like, no matter how much they may want to expose themselves to for whatever possible outcome, it's still teaching all of us and hopefully more people, and as time goes on, what's really going on. You know what I mean? And so hopefully it's still in our favor. That's all
It's always going to be in our favor, because here's the deal. People that are low information, right? They're going to get bored. If they didn't get bored, wouldn't reality television be like so much easier to watch?
Right.
Right. They get bored very easily. We don't. We pick and 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 research, and we're like, I'm looking at the Library of Congress today. What have you been doing on it? Well, I've been reading freaking the Creature of Jekyll Island. What have you been doing?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I just paid $32 for a freaking soft cover book. It's gonna be great. Got a weekend plan. Like, these people, like, it's in and out, and that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with them.
No.
It doesn't mean that they're stupid, and it doesn't mean that they're ignorant or incapable of learning. What it means is that some people just have like 2 jobs and like 3 kids. And
Yes.
like, I hate to say it, but as women, my mom will tell you she had 4 children, but technically she had 5 because there's my dad to take care of as well. She had 5 children.
Mhm.
And women especially, we are just worn out. I love it though, because they never thought that by locking us in our houses, they fuck themselves so royally.
That's so
Unintended.
confusing to me, dude. Like, that really throws me off, because like with all
didn't
the shit
expect
they
that to
pull off, and foresee, how did they not?
They don't
How would
foresee
they
shit.
not?
That's the thing. They cannot see the future.
See, I'm way out in like psychedelic land at my deepest. So what my opinion is possibly that they were trying to wake us up and still are, because trauma is how you get to that transcendental place. And what if this is all an illusion, like Bill Hicks always said?
You mean You know who? Alex Jones. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it
Oh,
anymore.
I
Get
don't-
banned
I
for
don't
saying the
even-
name.
Ah,
Get banned for
jeez.
saying the name.
I don't
At the end of
buy
the day,
that.
like, think about it like this. Like, people that really don't like themselves, right? You can tell.
Of
They
course.
put up, as my dad used to say, Missy, why can't you date a guy that cares about themselves? Why you got to bring home every loser you find that falls down a flight of stairs with an inkwell in a tackle box? These guys don't love themselves. How are they going to love you? That's what my dad
Good
used to tell me.
advice. Good advice.
My dad's a pastor. He knows his junk. But real life, like, think about it. The people that scream the most about inequality and acceptance are the people that hate themselves the most.
Yeah.
So maybe they want to let the truth out. Maybe that's how maybe they don't know how to be free. Maybe they want to be free too. We always have to, like, look at all this stuff with a generous heart, because you never know what's going on in someone's private life. You don't know anybody until you live with them.
Oh, for sure. When it comes to these, like, you know, the big they that we're referring to, like
The
I
lizard
mean,
people, I call them lizard people.
well, so
I'm
that's
they're
exactly
not
where I
actual
was.
lizard people, but they're not
No,
elite.
no.
They're not better than us. Fuck them.
That's
don't,
exactly
it's
where I was
Tina.
going to go with that. I was going to ask you, like, what do you think of, like, all the ancient connections to these people? How the bloodlines go back to
I
George
just wrote
the
down
First.
Carthage and ancient Sumerian and the God of Sin.
Yeah, because that's my jam. I love Sumer and all that stuff. And
The
I'm hearing,
sin.
I've heard
The
so many
wages of
amazing different
sin are
theories.
death. How many times have you heard that? The wages of sin are death. How many times have you heard that?
Mhm.
Sin
Yes.
was the moon god of ancient Sumeria,
Right.
and that's who they worship. The wages of sin.
Mm.
Think about that.
I wonder if that's in some way related to Set from Egypt.
Of
'Cause
course, it's
that-
all connected.
you know what I mean? That would make sense.
It's
That falls in
related to the
line.
story of the Titans and about how he tried to swallow his children, and how
Mhm.
Zeus overthrew the god that came before him. And
Right, it's the same
that's
thing
why
as
it's called
Sumer.
Baal. The Egyptian, I'm sorry, the Israeli god, the Hebrew god,
El,
his name
yeah.
is El. That's why I called it Israel.
Right.
Baal
Israel.
means I came before this bitch. Baal,
Right.
the god that came before. I
Hmm.
mean, people don't realize this, but when you read the Bible, you can take it literally. May God help you himself. There's a lot of people, many friends of mine that I love dearly, that are deep, hardcore, can't see outside that box. That's fine.
Yeah, I know many.
There's no way, one of my friends, there's no way in hell I could, literally hell, I could explain to her how the Bible has lots of problems with it, considering the translation of
and
it.
a lot of hidden stuff too. Like even
And
the
the
good
Council of
stuff they
Nicaea,
won't believe.
and the Council,
Yeah.
and the Council of Kent, and all that
And-
stuff. And now there's books of the Bible that didn't even exist till like the 1600s, and like you can't explain that, and how Revelation does not fit in. Like these people, the one group of people you're always going to find at church are the people that are looking for something.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a
A
beautiful way to
book
put it.
is so easy. That's the easiest way to like cop out, especially when you're
Sure.
busy with like 4 kids that you're homeschooling or whatever. It makes it
Yeah.
very easy to like cop out. But here's the deal. In the Bible, when you look at the entire Old Testament, it's just story after story after story of how we failed in God, like a father was wringing his hands, not knowing what to do. He said, okay, I'll give you guys like, look, I know you saw Moses. He's like, I killed the firstborn. You saw the plagues. We started the Passover. You watched me part the Red Sea. You walked through it, right? And he's like, hey guys, I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm just gonna climb up this mountain, because God's like, hey, I got some rules for you to make it easy, because you guys are dum-dums, and I'm gonna help you out. It didn't even wait like 5 minutes. We're like, hey, look what we made. We made this, look. It's a golden calf.
Right.
And Moses is like, you broke 3 rules. I was gone for 5 minutes. Tim, you broke 3 already? That's it. Now we got to walk around in the desert, eat shit off the ground for 40 years so that our grandchildren can't fuck up like you guys just did. That's what happened. The whole Old Testament is God going, get your shit together. What's
Right.
wrong with you? Why? I made it easy. Why can't you just follow the
Interesting.
stupid rules? 10 rules. I made it easy. And God's like, "Ugh." And then he does what any God would do in that situation. Any father would do in that situation. Don't make me come down there.
Yeah.
And and he has to come to Earth as a man, and he gets down here and he goes, remember when you guys talked shit about me making, man? Because God spoke the world into being, right? He spoke
first was the
everything, but then he made people out of clay.
Right.
And then he made woman out of a piece of another person, which is kind of fucked up, but whatever, I'll take it. And then he breathed life into us, and he made us, and guess what? His image. These dark things, these angels that have fallen, like any deity, he's like, this is what I'm doing. And they're like, dude, you're God. We're brown nose and fuck offs. We can't handle this. Like, do we follow them? Do we follow you? We're very confused. We don't think this is a good idea. This is a bad idea, God. And he goes, gone, removed. Hell means the absence of the presence of God.
Right.
A deity is like, you don't exist anymore. And they're like, yo, God, hey, we're right. These fucks. And then God comes to Earth as man and he goes, well, these fucks. All of a sudden, it all makes sense. And that's why he disappears for like 30-something years. Because he's got to come to terms with the fact that he's got to create a paradox to handle these fucks that he forgot existed because he's a deity. And like any all-powerful Stalin-esque, I am going to Photoshop ruler, they don't exist anymore.
Right, yeah.
God photoshopped angels out of heaven. And angels were created to worship, to serve, to follow exactly. They can't think for themselves and they cannot create, right? But God made us in his image. We are in ways, demigods, we can speak things into being. That's why positive affirmations work. Right. That's why the secret is a thing.
Yeah, but not in the way they sell it, kind of. I mean, in a way.
I'm just saying that the power behind it's real.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, that's the thing. The power of intention. Like you look into like chaos magic, for instance. Chaos magic is exactly what it sounds like, which is, to me, it's the same thing as the positive affirmation stuff, because it's magic without all the silly costumes and the books and the props and the this and the that. It's literally, that's the thing.
Is that even possible? Is it possible to like do magic without having like a creepy fairy tale?
Yeah, it's called positive affirmations. It's magic.
No, that's called being a demigod.
Well, sure, but I mean, what's the difference?
They don't want to step into our power.
We're splitting hairs there. You know what I mean? Because magic's always demonized.
These things that can't create don't want us to step into our power. They're terrified of us. Everything they do is about destroying us because they don't know which. They really want to get back to the good graces of God.
Right. Well, you mentioned Sumer. And it's the same. It's the same thing there. It's always the same story over and over and over.
Did you know that the Celts were headhunters?
No, I did not.
The Celts were flipping headhunters. Yeah,
what?
That's why the Romans were like terrified of them. They're like, we don't want to go over there. Those blue-faced weirdos are gonna like. They're gonna go all Aztec on our asses.
Well, that's it's circling around the same area because like. I've heard stories about Anunnaki, but it's a different spelling, different way of saying it. But I've heard about, people under the same guise in Ireland and Scotland and that whole region.
Well, myths are important.
Yeah, but it's the same myth. That's the interesting thing. It's always the same myths everywhere.
What's amazing is that the Tartarian stuff never made it through the filter.
What do you mean?
Tartaria, the Empire of Tartaria, the largest empire that never existed.
Right,
yeah.
You're
I believe every war has been about wiping out the Tartarians.
No, I'm not against that idea. I was confused when you said didn't make it through the filter. You mean like they were trying to filter it all out and whoops, it slipped through a little bit.
Or like, I don't know, filing a home business.
Well, so dude,
or filing like business loans, or like, I don't know, how to balance your checkbook. It's something kids just don't get taught in school.
Let me ask you this.
But they're not. All the Baltic Wars? Yeah.
Oh, it's all, no, I totally agree. Yeah. The Tartaria stuff is insane. And I'm still on it. I'm still getting more into it. Meanwhile, have you heard about this Bach Saga? Dude. So I've only heard, it's called the Bach Saga.
Like a bacchanal?
BOCK. People should look this up because it's very interesting.
Have you seen that BLM's trying to argue that Bach was part black?
No.
Oh, that's the thing. Look at
Just
my side
more
of my thumb,
bullshit
being like,
news.
Look at my weird thumb. Like, yeah.
Just them messing with us. All just separating us again and again and again and again.
Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. But
Oh, that's okay. No.
What?
The
big box stores like IKEA, like what?
No, BOCK, Bach Saga. It's like this this story. Yeah, definitely write it down, look into it, because I think it's something that you'll be interested in if you're into Tartaria, because it doesn't necessarily disagree with Tartaria. It includes it. It just, we were not going to go all the way into it because I don't know enough to really speak on it, but I will say
I know way too much about Tartaria.
Dan,
2 years of my life is gone.
Dan from Rising from the Ashes podcast is telling me.
Dan Aki, I love him.
Dude,
you know that we're friends? We're friends. Did you know that?
Dude, no, I did not. He's awesome.
Yeah,
shit.
we're friends. I love Dan Aki.
He's great.
I love him.
So he is telling me all about this Bach
One more
Saga.
time.
So he's going to have to tell you about
Rising from the Ashes. Rising from the Ashes podcast, y'all. Check them out.
They are
Aki
awesome.
Is the eighth.
And
he's
Roman.
the BOCK awesome badass. He's a good guy. Good guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love
support
those
him
guys.
fully.
Yeah, everybody should check them out too, because they go deep. Absolutely. And I was just telling my wife before this that like there's always synchronicities around all of us when we meet each other. Like for instance,
that happens supposed to happen exactly when it happens.
So I only just recently started listening to Big Dumb Podcast.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Right. So I saw that you guys did a recent episode together back in July. And I was like, oh, sweet. I'm having Missy on. I should listen to this episode. Plus, I'm already doing like a swap cast thing with those guys coming up. Mm-hmm. So this will be great. I'll start my adventure.
You gotta get Casey Jones on. You gotta get Casey Jones on.
Sounds good. Absolutely.
From the Peelback Report. She's amazing.
Oh yeah. I would love to. Yeah.
Casey Jones is the jam. She and I she's my Tartarian sister. Like, dude, we talk. She understands what's going on with the Catholic Church as much as you.
So check this out. Check this out for another synchronicity. So like, I'm doing this. I have the episode planned with you and with Big Dumb Podcast, and I listened to that episode just to start my Big Dumb experience with an episode with you guys together. Yeah, it's great. It's
Big
great.
Dumb. Love it.
So
Big
check
Dumb,
it out.
Weird Thumb. I love them.
So I had no idea that you guys were like bros. Like you guys have really connected.
I just hung out with them in Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying. So like, it's just more synchronicity that like we're meeting each other. We've been circling around and talking to each other for a while. And then I'm getting to hang out with those guys soon. And sure enough, you guys are already like pretty damn deeply connected too. It's all just a spider web.
It's called the deep share.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause that's why I don't really structure it too much unless I have someone that's like, written like 15 books and really wants to talk about specific things, it can be great, but it can be stuffy sometimes. And it's
not even that. Like,
this is beautiful.
It's not about,
this is fun.
You can't make it about you.
Absolutely not. I mean, and I understand if someone's coming on to like, if someone's coming on to like sell something, that's fine with me because I want more people to read what a guy I'm having on has to offer.
Chic underwear or Bluetooth. But not that.
But
simple
books.
hat code for chic underwear and Bluetooth.
There you go.
It's not.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah. There's some people they have to make money off this, and like that's their world.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I'm telling you, those guys, the Big Dumb guys, Kyle and Puds, they are going to, if they don't get in the way of themselves, they're going. I'm serious.
They have a great platform. They're doing great.
They're going to be huge.
That's
huge,
great.
Even because when the censorship ends, and it will, and because people are already tired of it, when the censorship
slowly but
stops,
surely it's going to disappear.
I'm telling you, I see great things for them.
That's great. That's great that you could say that with such confidence, because I agree. They have a great platform.
If they don't get in the way of themselves, they're going to do fantastic.
Oh man, I think a lot of us can say that. If we don't get in the way of ourselves, and if we can stop stopping ourselves, We can
That's
become
why-
what they've always pushed us against and told us we're not and we can't be.
I've
Yeah.
never made a dime at this. And if I start to make money at it, I'll probably screw it up. I'm not. I mean, Alex Jones, when he started out, like, I had a lot of
He was
respect for him.
grassroots. He was grassroots.
But what is he most known for now? Selling, vitamins.
Yeah.
It's
He's
not
just
Bohemian Grove.
he
It's
is like,
vitamins.
he's
That's
like
sad.
a pinata. He's been a pinata for 10 years at least. You know what I mean?
He got too big. I tell everyone, I'm like, again, keep track of your notes, right? So you can find out where you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. Number one.
Absolutely.
And number two, dude, write down a mission statement. What's your mission? What is your mission statement?
Right.
What's
Oh,
your
mine?
mission statement? Yeah.
Mine is just to share deeply with as many folks as I can. My perspective, their perspective, and give it out as far and wide as I can.
Have you written it down?
No, maybe I should.
You need to write it down.
I gotta write
And you
that
need to
shit
put it
down.
up where you can't miss it. Because a mission statement isn't, when you start a business, the first thing they tell you to do is to write down a mission statement. And it's not
Whoops.
It's not because, it's because the minute you start making money at something, you can lose sight of who you are. So quickly, so
beautifully
easily.
said.
If
Yes.
you don't believe me? Look at Ben Shapiro.
What, Mr. Right Winger? Like, it's just all
You
right,
can
left, right, left.
lose. He's
Yeah.
lost track of what his mission was.
I don't even remember what he was like in the beginning. I never.
He was
I was
really
never paying
cool at the
attention.
beginning, actually. He was very interesting because he said
Mm.
prolific, amazing things. And
Yeah.
he did it. It wasn't arrogance at that time. At that time, it was more like he knew
Eloquence.
how to debate.
Yeah, he's
He was
very
he's
well
lost it.
debatable. Like, he's very good at
his
it.
eloquence. Alex Jones has lost his way. And it's not just people on the right, people on the left too. Look where Kamala Harris is. She's
Wow.
lost her way. I feel
And
sad
was she
for
ever
that
on a
woman.
good way?
I don't think anybody starts out to be a monster.
Well, fair enough. I think you're right on that note.
I think that
definitely.
you get for example, I was watching Tim Pool, I think it was last night, and he was like saying, someone super chatted and was like, you need to get Ted Cruz in here. He's like, we'd love to have him on.
Right.
And then the woman that he had on the podcast was like, she worked for what is it? Not Turning Point. Screw my mind. Sleepy Tired. What was it? It was whatever Andy Noda's worked for. What are they called? What's that news organization?
I'm not
Doesn't
sure.
matter. Point being,
Doesn't matter.
she was like, I had to interview Ted Cruz and I had to jump through hoops for 3 days to get 5 minutes.
Right.
And I'm like, at what point do you lose sight of what you're supposed to be doing?
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
about you. What is your mission statement? And that's not just because you're starting a podcast. Everyone on the face of the planet, even if you're just a single mom, you need to have a mission statement because you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. And you need to have something you can look back and go, I'm honoring this because this is who I am. When I started, every super successful billionaire businessman does. I remember when I was nothing.
Right.
And most of those people, guess what they had? Mission statements.
Right.
They do. It's the first step when you start a business. You write a mission statement because that keeps you honest with yourself and with others.
Well, it's kind
You
of
don't want to
like,
lose yourself. You don't know what's
right.
coming.
You know, we were just talking about positive affirmations and stuff like that. I mean, it's very similar to a mission statement, you know?
Well, again, time is very fluid.
Yeah.
Our concept of time is based on, you got to remember where the school system started. You know, it's John D. Rockefeller invention. By the way, you know that they own the pyramids, right? The Rockefeller Foundation.
They own
fun
it?
fact, they have control over who's allowed to visit the pyramids. Yes.
I didn't
The
know
Great
they
Pyramid,
had their hands in
you
there.
have.
I mean, I guess it all
they-
makes sense.
They partner with the Cairo Museum,
Yeah.
and they have to give the sign off for you to be able to go into as a researcher or as an archaeologist or whatever. You have to have them sign off on you being able to go into the Great Pyramid.
Mhm. That's weird. Yeah, I mean, I remember there was kind of like an uproar of positive reactions when Zahi Hawass was no longer the minister of antiquities in Egypt
Because that
anymore
guy
a
was such
couple
a
of
he
years
was like
ago.
Skeletor, okay?
Yeah, he was ridiculous, but it's funny that
He
you
was
say this 'cause it's
Skeletor.
like,
He was an evil villain.
But think about it. It's like, if it's still controlled by the Rockefellers, we can't, I mean, there's nothing really to celebrate by one manager leaving and another one taking its place. You know what I mean? He was just a character. He was out there in the open. And now they'll just probably have a guy with the same mentality and the
No
same,
one starts
but not
out
as
with bad intentions.
right.
No one
yeah.
starts out to be a supervillain.
No.
If you don't believe me? Watch Dr. Horrible.
Well, though.
No one starts out to be a
I
supervillain.
feel like they actually, I don't
They
know.
just want to be seen and heard.
Can
And
we confidently say that though, with
I-
everyone up there? Because I don't know, man. I can go way out there and think that like there's
There's one
couple
thing.
people that think that or believe, or maybe they really are like descendants of from the very friggin' beginning, and it's not just family roots. It's like
demonic
reincarnation type shit.
demonic possession.
Well, or
Which
whatever
I
it's
didn't like to use the
called,
word
whatever
demon.
that's called. Or
First of all,
you know.
let me finish the thing about Johnny Rockefeller. Johnny
Sure.
Rockefeller, right? He started the education system. Let me ask you a question. When a bell rings, what do you do?
Oh yeah, you're supposed to
Ding.
get up.
What do you do?
Get
You,
up.
you as a person, what do you do when you hear ding? What do you do?
Usually that's when
You-
I'm ignoring my alarm clock.
You open the microwave, you check the dishwasher, you turn your clothes over in the dryer or washer, you
Mhm.
answer the door, you answer the phone, right? You
Right.
wake up,
Yeah.
you go to lunch, you leave work, ding, you got an email, you got to check it, right? How
Right.
much pressure in our life is built around bells? Pavlov,
Mm,
He
yeah,
got that.
yeah.
guess who else got that? John D. Rockefeller, when he invented the education system, and he did.
Yes.
He did
in
it
our
because there were a
healthcare
bunch
system.
of street urchins running around. By the way, Irish people were not allowed to drink from the same water fountains as everybody else. Fun fact about life. The Irish urchins, the Italian urchins running around the streets of New York, he looked around. They had a labor shortage, just like they're having right now. And he went, "How do I get?" Well, you know what? We got to start with the kids because they don't know how to behave. So school, how many kids do you have?
I just have the one. And
I
he's
have the
3 and a
one.
half.
He's 8. When did your
Mm.
child start? Is he starting school yet?
Nope.
Daycare or
And
anything?
he will be homeschooled.
Most people, they had a child, and then six weeks later, they go back to work, and their
Yeah,
kids
I
are
know.
5. They're trusting complete strangers,
It's nuts.
right? It's absolutely nuts. And my child,
But I get
I
it.
had some
People
money.
have to do
I
it.
stayed
you know?
home for 2 years. I literally lived in a house where I would wake up in the middle of the night and stomp the roaches to death
Oh,
because I couldn't afford anything else. When I
Mhm.
stayed at home, my child
right.
stayed at home with my child in his first 2 years are critical. And then I put him into First Baptist. My mother was an administrator.
Oh,
Otherwise, he would have
okay.
never done it. And I didn't even want to do that. But my mom was like, look, it's safe. I'll be there. I'm on site. Like, she's on site. I can trust it. His nurse was the same nurse I had from when I was a kid. I know her. You know, I know his teachers. I know the people that are there. My mom is there. Otherwise, I don't have even done it.
Right.
I was a
Yeah.
single mom. I didn't really have a choice. I got very blessed in the fact that I got to be able to do that. But here's the deal. Most people, they start, what is it? Head Start starts when you're 3 or 4.
Yeah. I
And
think right around
they,
3 and a
what
half.
happens when the bell rings? They go to class. They go to
Yeah.
lunch. They switch classes. They leave for
Right.
the day. The bell, it's a thing that we all live with that we don't even notice, like breakfast or engagement rings. We don't even notice it's a marketing campaign to train us to do what we're told.
Yeah.
It is a we don't even realize what we're salivating,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
They have us
we live in
wired
that
up.
world. We live in that world. And so to ask people that live in this world that have been trained from a very young age to answer the bell, right?
Mhm.
Ding, what's wrong? What's wrong? Is that an alarm? Is that the smoke detector?
Mhm.
Is that the door?
Yeah.
Is that the microwave? Is that the phone? What do I have to do? I have to do something. But they'll just ring.
Right. Heightened
We-
level.
We live in that world.
Mhm.
And that happened in the 1910s. Okay?
Probably not the first time they thought of it either.
Probably not. It's probably the first
You
thing
know
just
what I
got
mean?
away with it.
Just like the modern version of probably something they were doing a long time ago too.
Oh, look at the living room.
Yeah.
You know where the living room started? concept of a
I've
living room.
heard this one before. It's been a while though. Refresh my
Life
memory.
magazine ran an article, and they were like, "This is the new thing you need. It's called the living
Right.
room."
Yeah.
It used to be the parlor.
Right.
It's where you met your dates, right? If you're a
Mm.
woman, that's where they hung out. Like you had to hang out in the parlor with, like, you know, people watching. There was always someone watching. The parlor
Right.
was like the room that everyone hung out in. It was like
Yeah. It was the main
the
common
center,
room.
it was the center of the house. It wasn't the dinner table. It was the parlor. That's why it's called parlor, as in talking.
Mm.
Le français, talking.
Ah,
Parlor.
okay.
But that's also where you laid out your day. And you sat up
Right.
for the day. So in order to switch us over to a new way of thinking, they introduced the living room.
Mm.
It is a
Yeah,
room
just
for living in. We're going to bring out our dead and let someone else handle that for us. We are removed from death. Now we're removed from illness, right?
yeah.
On top of that, we got bells ringing and people fist fighting each other over toilet paper instead of canned goods, which makes no damn sense to me.
Yeah, seriously.
And you got people like John D. Rockefeller being like, guess what? I trained these children to be perfect little workers.
Right.
Because when the bell rings to
And-
go to lunch, when the bell rings to leave, you have to sit in one place and you have to do what's in front of you. You have to sit at your desk. We're sitting at desks right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're doing it right now. And we don't even think about it.
Yeah. Even when we're not doing it and we're like trying to rebel against it, we're still doing it. We're doing
You ever
all
try
of
to
it.
start a business?
You can't get out
or
of
like,
it. It's the
You
matrix.
ever try to start a business or record a podcast or do something like on the beach? No, you can't even think about it. You're like, that's too much business.
Right. Yeah.
I got to have my desk. We're
Yeah,
chained to this thing.
Well, look. Yeah. Look at me. I'm doing a conspiracy theory podcast that
From a desk.
from a desk, and I'm attached to their internet, and I'm gonna provide it to everyone on services that
love it.
okay, yeah, maybe they'll
I love
delete.
that we use their own shit against them. Social media is not evil. It is a
Right.
tool. It just depends how you use
Exactly.
it. A hammer can be used to kill someone. You can
Right.
also use it to build a house.
Damn right. And it's that victim mentality that they've put into all of us that makes us think that we can only view these things as how they've treated them and use them on
We're
us or
indoctrinated,
whatever.
You're
Right, we
fighting
are.
from
Indoctrination.
childhood. Indoctrination.
Which yeah, it goes deep. It goes
When
real
did
deep.
you know? When did you know everything was bullshit? How old were you and what was the thing that like set you off?
I would say, well, two moments. It was like one would be like the initial spark that turned my head, and then would be the big tamale later down the road, like the end of the trilogy. You know what I mean? Where it was like, holy shit, it's all
like,
fake.
My grandma buy me those books from Time Life that have like the aliens and UFOs in it.
Yeah.
Versus like, I don't know, me realizing that like the two-party system is bullshit.
So I grew up loving heavy metal and death metal and thrash and all that
Iron
kind of shit.
Maiden, The Trooper's my ringtone.
Awesome.
And my alarm to wake up in the morning. I'm like, I'm a trooper.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. So like that right there made me start to realize once I was, because I started listening to heavier music than other people when I was like
metal
13.
was about stuff. It was the only thing that was
Right.
about stuff.
And
Punk rock and metal was about real stuff. Like the rest of it was like pop garbage.
right.
It wasn't that it was garbage. I mean, I guess like there's some songs that like people can relate to, but like, dude, like when
Well,
you
that's
listen
on
to
purpose
like
though. That's by design,
know,
and it's simple and
Holiday
it's bullshit
in
and it's
Cambodia
recycled.
versus like, oh hush, keep it down now. Voices carry. That's what we're looking at, right? The
Right,
Trooper, or I don't know, Rancid
Right, there you
versus
go.
like
Lamb of
you
God
know.
would be a good example. Whitechapel
Yeah.
from modern age now. Like there's right
what a
off the
great
bat.
band, what a stupid name. Like,
Yeah, well, it's all
I
about
love that
you know.
drowning pool, lead singer drowning pool of his own vomit. That shit's
Right.
hilarious.
That's it's
But
pretty
not, but it is. But
it right. Well, now looking back at that situation from like more skeptical, paranoid, conspiracy eyes, from my perspective, it's like that sounds like a fake person to me. That
Slater
sounds like
cracks me up. Like they wish they were Satanists.
they're not.
They're not doing a very good
Satanists.
job.
They're not Satanists.
not.
So the
They're
symbolism
they're
they use
posers.
is
They
well,
poses. They pose.
But
We know what
see,
real singers look like.
you
Just
call
Ray
them
Maxwell.
posers. See, you call them posers, but I read their lyrics and I go, oh shit, they sound like conspiracy theorists talking and yelling in music. That was my point.
They sound like at first when you start listening, you're like, these guys are just like want to be like dorks, they're posers.
Right.
Right. And then you listen to it again, you're like, wait. They're mocking. They're mocking.
Absolutely.
The thing,
And that's what, Sam and I kind of like were
like Guar. They're like Guar.
We're in, yes. And I think you mentioned that on that same thread that me and Sam were going back and forth on. He was like, look, it's not satanic at all. And he's showing all the symbolism. And Sam, I love you, but that symbolism isn't evil. And it's not satanic. Oh, hell yeah. Hey, he's the Godfather. That's my take. That's my name for Sam. He's the fucking Godfather. So that's, he's putting it all out there.
I could never do what he does.
Holy shit, no. Oh my God. I'm having trouble running one podcast, let alone like 7 more plus everything else he does,
Yeah.
He's nuts.
And
but no, he's given us, I feel like he's holding the torch.
I went to the show. The fans are fucking crazy.
Dude, how many?
I'm looking at Kyle going, these are our people.
Yeah, these are all
I'm like,
our
Kyle,
people.
I'm like, hey Kyle, these are our people.
These are our people. Hell yeah.
these are our people.
The weird
and it was
ones.
so funny because I was trying to find the venue and some guy pulls up and goes, you looking for the comedy show? I was like, I'm in all black. I'm not even wearing like a t-shirt or anything. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. Everyone's that guy. They're all wearing the show to the band. The shirt for the band that they're going to go see.
Don't be that guy. Yeah.
Everyone's that guy. And I'm sitting there going, I purposely did not do that.
Right. How many fans were there, you think? What was the show? How big?
It was Eddie Bravo, XG, Sam, which it was awesome because I went back to my hotel room and it was like kind of weird because I went up on stage and I got told to go have another margarita. I was like, you guys have not seen me drunk yet. This is me being mild. I wasn't being funny though. It was like being informative. Plus, like the guy that went on before me just like killed, and I was like, I gotta follow that.
Oh, that's rough. Hey, but you're brave enough to do it.
It was brutal. They told me to sit down and have another margarita. I was like, I haven't even had one yet. Are you
like, hey, wait a minte.
I'm so. Am I even here? Like, is this real? Like,
Dude,
it was
good
so
for
weird.
you for getting up there. That's awesome.
Dude. I've done stand-up comedy, not just like stand-up comedy.
Right.
Like I got paid like in Vegas, like real shit, like
yeah.
No joke, legit, room paid for, flight paid for, hotel paid for, everything paid for, like
nice.
Comedy.
Hell
Middling comedy for, and I don't have to say who I opened up for because they know who they are and it doesn't fucking matter because I'm not cool. I'll never be cool. Even by mentioning their names, I'm making myself less cool, so it doesn't matter. What's the point? Fuck it. But
gotcha.
Dude, I went up on that stage and for the first time in years, I felt like this big.
Oh yeah.
Because unfortunately, our people, we eat our own. We're worse than the left. We gotta start being. That's one of the reasons that like I'm all about promoting my friends. It was funny as XG was leaving the elevator when Johnny, one of their openers at the hotel that we all stayed at.
Yeah.
Well, no. I came back from recording a podcast with Kyle and Puds.
Mm-hmm.
There was the biggest like birthday party with the most rap music I've ever heard in my life, with some of the most nefarious lyrics I've ever been exposed to. I'm a lady. I wasn't aware those things existed. Now I'm well too aware. I had to have Davey Knows Construction like from Twitter like walk me to my Uber because I was like, can you walk me to my Uber? It was like, dude, they're like raging. There's a huge party next to the Airbnb where Kyle and all of them were staying at. We were supposed to record a podcast. We got a little too high. Didn't work out well. But
shit happens.
I go out to my hotel and there's XG and Johnny. I'm like, you guys are staying at my hotel. Like, it's our hotel. I was like, I've been here for a day and a half, bitches. Y'all need to catch up. I watched you roll your suitcase in. This is my hotel. I had dinner downstairs. I know the bartender. I know the bar manager looks like freaking John Lennon. Did you know that? It's great. You should try the Carpaccio. But we get in the elevator and Johnny goes, you're a floor above me. And I turn to XG and I go, XG, I want to let you know that I've never made a dime doing this. I'll never make a dime doing this. The minute I get a check, I'll send it right back to him because it doesn't fucking matter. It's not about that shit.
No.
The minute you start making money at this, the minute your money depends on this,
No, that's
is the minute that it gets sketched. And that's not about the people that are in this. God bless them. They take.
It's not always.
That is blood money. They've earned what they earned.
Damn right. Yeah.
Alex Jones included. But at the end of the day, like, dude, I didn't know I was doing well until I got hate mail. That Charlie Robinson podcast they did, the macroaggressions one. I was like, I got hate mail. I made it.
Yeah.
I got mail.
Exactly.
I made it. I was like, someone hates me.
And then the next level is
no one hates me.
you know you'll make it to the next level when someone calls you like controlled opposition or something, or an agent.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
If there's no paycheck, there's no reason to complain.
That's
good
true.
luck. Good luck. I mean, like, dude, if there's no money involved, what's my motive?
Right, exactly. It's all just love. Motive? It's all just education and love, right?
Dude, I'm gonna drag all of us up into the light.
Woo!
That is my goal. That is my goal. I want to deep share everyone. Beautiful. I want to drag. I will never take a check for doing this shit. Ever. And the reason why is because, like, dude, the minute money gets involved, the minute you lose friends, the minute you lose sight, mission statement.
Wow, there you go.
Mission statement. This is not a job. This is a hobby.
It's a public service.
It's like working at a soup kitchen.
There you go. I like
guys,
that.
There are people that depend on you to do your job extremely well.
I know, right?
Expect to get paid for it.
No, that's
you
beautifully
do it
said.
because you're supposed to. It's.
Oh, it definitely feels that way.
What's the point of knowing?
My voice is
crazy?
this big. You know, I'm one of a million out there, right? But like, it's still important. Like, as the more of us, the better, right?
What's the point of knowing? It's like watching a really funny like comedy bit or a really great movie. What's the point of seeing something amazing if you can't share it?
Yeah, exactly. And
it's not fun.
That's the whole point, you know.
It's zero fun. Like, for example, my on again, off again, currently boyfriend. We'll see what happens. Joe, he's like, I've never seen Idiocracy. I was like, hang on,
right?
Hold the phone. I was like, I'm gonna be late to everything the rest of the day. But we gotta watch this movie.
Yeah, it's a horror movie at this point. So
I will do whatever filthy things you need me to do for you to stop and watch this movie. Watch the movie. You've never seen
I have that same feeling. I love showing people the movie and seeing the reaction.
It's no fun. It's no fun. What's the point of hoarding knowledge? It's boring.
Yeah. It does nothing. It does nothing on your own. You know, you can just sit with it unless you're sharing it.
Sam gets that.
Yeah.
Sam gets that more than anyone.
Absolutely.
I highly doubt.
He's a conduit.
I highly doubt he makes any real money from the tinfoil hat stuff.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it gets so shadow banned and this and that.
Well, he makes his money from comedy. Okay.
Well, absolutely. But that's his tried and true.
The only pressure he has is to help other people that he's responsible for make their money.
This swarm is so real to him.
Ever had the pleasure to meet.
Yeah. Sam, we love you. And thank you. Without someone like Sam up there taking all the bigger punches, you know what I mean? We wouldn't have the balls to be doing what we're doing.
He's the example. He is the example.
Yeah.
He's the example. He's the nicest person you will ever meet. He will do anything for anybody out of the kindness of his heart. He's a good person. I cannot say enough nice things about Sam Tripoli. I really can't. I don't think I would ever run out of compliments for him because he's the real deal. He's the real deal. And the funny thing is like I've watched the way the comedy community and like other people treat him. Yeah. And he doesn't get this. They're jealous. They're terrified of him. He represents.
He doesn't give a fuck. He has no rules.
But they all do.
Yeah.
In LA, they all give a fuck, but they live off that. Like they can't get a movie deal if I say the wrong thing, it's wrong. But he doesn't give a fuck. With 2 kids, doesn't give a fuck.
Right. I love it how
he goes hard in the paint, to quote the man himself.
And the stand-up buzz is like, move towards Austin, somewhere towards Austin. He's like, I'm gonna stay in the war zone. and I'm gonna fight this fucking war.
You know why he's gonna stay in LA? You know he's gonna stay in LA? Because LA needs him more than anybody else. LA, have you been to LA? You ever been to LA?
No, and I hope to never go, honestly. And no offense to the people that I love that are out there and live out there, but I don't want to go anywhere near that place anymore.
The Uber driver that was giving me a ride to my hotel, I saw his, like, you know, his stuff, like his Jesus stuff hanging out in the front seat. And of course, I could not help myself. I was like, ooh, the Bible. Let's talk about that Bible. And I went off for, like, God bless him. He's getting paid to listen to me talk because I tip him. But
Right.
it's like a stripper, but with knowledge. It's not,
There you go.
not the healthiest place to be. So anyways, I'm just like, blah, 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 about like everything. And I'm like, Isaac was about human sacrifice and blah, 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 blah. And we pulled up to a stoplight and I was like, yo, his name was Gideon. I think it was Gideon. I was like, Gideon.
Perfect.
You look at what is that? And there's this 3-story car park. And on the 3rd floor, there's a demon statue with glowing, someone put LEDs in its mobo, glowing red eyes. And I was like, Gideon, get out your Bible. What is that?
Yeah.
And he goes, I've been down this street at least, because I drive people back and forth from the airport. I stayed at the Standard Hotel because, you know, I'm in class. Because I was like, me and my friend Casey were like going through with a flashlight trying to find the pedophiles. I was like, no, construction, it means something. Yeah, whatever. It was a walking distance from the Comedy Store. But point being is, I'm in LA and I'm like, Gideon, get out your Bible. What's that? He goes, I've driven down this street. I drive people from the airport this route all the time. That's why you came up. And I drive this route to these hotels, this one and that one up the street from you, like on the red. He goes, I've never noticed that ever.
Ooh.
And I was like, the paint's faded. It's been here at least like 10 years, at least. It never rains in LA and the paint's faded. And he goes, how did I not see that? And I went, Gideon, you need to open up your eyes. This is not the city of angels.
Well said.
Sam cannot leave LA. LA needs.
Shit. Well, let's hope it doesn't eat him alive. Let's hope
Yeah,
he conquers
whatever.
the whole damn thing.
I'm not scared of bears either. I'm going to learn how to fly a plane soon, even though I used to be terrified of flying. I'd have to get shit can hammered to get on a plane. Even just to go through TSA, I'm like, I don't like people going through my stuff. Here, have my shoes, you fuck off. I'm
facing the idea that maybe I'll never get on a plane again. That's fine by me. That's totally fine. I'd rather travel by car. If I'm
my boyfriend,
then hell yeah.
I don't know where to. My on again, off again, 6 years, who knows? Whatever. He gave me I'm not going to marry you ring to go, I'm not going to live with you house. But my boyfriend, he's like, let's go to Key West. He's like, it's going to be a while before we're going to be able to go anywhere. He's like, let's go to Jamaica. And I was like, he's like, let's go to Costa Rica. I was like, no. He's like, let's go to Key West. I'm like, he's like, let's go to Miami. I was like, I can't twerk on top of cop cars. I don't know how to stop traffic to walk across the street. It's not like they have buttons like everybody else. So you got to be able to twerk to stop traffic to walk across the street. I can't do it. Miami's not my place. I was like, what are we going to do? Drink for a week? Right. I already feel like hungover. We haven't even gone. We're just talking about it. Yeah. I was like, let's go to Key West. He goes, let's go to Key West. So we're gonna go Airbnb a boat before shit hits the fan. And I was like, what if they start the Vax passport stuff for planes? He goes, I'll just get us a private plane. And I was like, my man.
Yeah.
I was like, private plane it is. I want to get my pilot's license.
Yeah, I've been brushing up against this topic for a little while now. We can kind of end on this, that like we have to take down the whole thing, because there is no land right now that you can just go be off grid. Yeah, maybe for now. Maybe for Tim
Pool. That's about it.
Until they come for you, until they come for your land that's not really yours, that you bought from them and you pay every year. You know what I mean? Like, so unless we take this whole thing
I love
down,
that. You're absolutely right. In order to have animals on your own land, to build a house on your own land, you have to pay and let the government know to have animals on your land to build building on your land, you have to let the government know. And get
Right.
permits. I mean,
Just
you
to
don't
have the
to.
land.
You
Just to
don't
have the
have
land.
to.
The land is bought
but-
and paid for as well. You know, it's not yours. You're
And if you
renting the
die,
land.
then your kids have to pay to get that land.
It's yeah. And so the thing is like
Banker games.
I'm doing a lot of DIY stuff. Like my wife and I are gardening, all the great stuff. And I see so many good people getting further, quote unquote, off grid. But it's only okay. And it's only going to be helpful as long as we all understand that eventually that's not going to be enough either. That's the training.
And that's when you have to learn how to sail or fly a plane, y'all.
Yeah, maybe the ante gets up. I
Get a
don't know.
mission statement, get a sailboat, commandeer Costco, and fly the F away. That's what we gotta do.
And maybe this proves Star Wars. Hey, Kyle, this proves Star Wars. It's just going to happen over and over again until eventually
Padme is just a
we have to
weak-ass
use all their
bitch.
sci-fi shit to take them out. You know, it's just going to happen over and over.
Padme just quit on everybody. What a weak ass bitch.
Well, hey, Missy, it's been friggin' awesome having you on. Please tell my audience where they can find you.
Do I want them to?
As long as you want them to, you can tell them.
Y'all, I'm a handful. I talk too much. I have ADHD. I may or may not have a drinking problem after today because I've been getting up for a morning purpose. You can find me on Twitter. Maybe not. It's a shit. That is a dumpster fire. Maybe you don't want to find me on Twitter. I've got IG. I've got a YouTube channel that, again, work in progress. You can find me on everybody else's podcasts. I do better in other people's environments. I'm in the process of building a studio. We're going to see what happens. I might burn the house down. You guys will hear about it on the news. Frantic Missy.
All right. Well, hopefully
I'm
that
gonna
works
smoke
out.
All
right,
so
Missy.
sleep deprived. I'm not even functioning.
Yeah, dude, you've had a long
Woo.
day.
5:30
get
a.m.
rest. Yeah. Thank
I
you
don't
so
know what time
much.
it is, but it's half past. Fuck the loser people.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, power to you and talk to you soon. All right.
Hey, thank you for doing what you do. Never
Hey.
stop.
Thank you for doing what you do as well. We're all in this together, right?
I would call it InfoWars, but that's been taken.
All right. Good night, dude.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Deep Share Podcast. If you want to hear more, then hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all the social places. And remember, think for yourself, but don't always believe what you think. Till next time.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone.
What do we know? What do we know? If I know what we know, then I can tell you what we know, and if someone else knows, okay? I mean...